Hello and welcome to Studio B for our little pre-show here. Rick Hayes is in Chicago. Hi, Rick. Welcome back. Evening on Super September. John Emmett over in the UK. Alan Long, Ian Barker, and many others. Bill Aycock, Mary Moreno. Let's get this one on the road. Julie, did you get it up, the show up there on your devices?
Yes, on
the iPad?
On the iPad.
Okay, well, we're all set to go here for our show number 453, Tuesday the 14th of September. We have more America's Cup venue news, or actually no real venue news. We'll get into that in a minute. I'm your host, Tom Ehman. I'm here with my co-host, Julia Wedekind, the Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club. I trust you're well.
I am, actually.
Any hot tips?
Not really. Not really today.
Well, that's too bad.
I know. It's going to be a beautiful day.
Here in beautiful San Francisco in the Marina District.
Absolutely.
Where the crime rises. It's really sad, isn't it?
Oh, it is, and nobody's listening.
Nobody's doing anything about it either. We've got the recall election for the governor of the state of California, who used to be the mayor here. He was a big America's Cup fan, Gavin Newsom. We'll see what happens to him today in the recall election. It's a bellwether perhaps for the rest of the country, but let's don't talk about local politics. Let's talk about our beautiful sport. Julia, you're witness.
Yes, please, and not take this opportunity to like, follow, and share. It's very important to us. Man,
you are really in the red of life today. Not the pink of life, but the red of life.
I know, but it's all your fault.
No, it looks great. It looks great on camera. I had actually to
tone it down.
Tone down the saturation, the color saturation on your camera 3. What is that? The Norddeutsche Regatta Verein?
It is.
And our foul scarf.
It is.
Look at that.
Yeah.
The Germany's arguably most prestigious yacht club in Hamburg, of which I probably was a member for a number of years. All our German friends who are watching, and those there's a Facebook page called Segeln, Segln, I guess, which in German means sailing, and it's a Facebook group, and we have a lot of people that come on and off from there that watch the show. Julia has said like, follow, and share, and I always say at this point, comments welcome too, even for those of you watching in replay, which of course thousands of you do. Support us on Patreon, as many of you do, patreon.com/join/sailing illustrated. We appreciate very much your support. We are starting to work through our list to see, Julia, who we can list, because I told people we'd ask them first, but I think we're going to start listing our patrons, and if they don't want their name, then tell us, and we won't list you.
We'll give them a title of distinguished.
We'll just say the crouton-in-chief of Bayhead, New Jersey, or wherever they're located. Just to start things off, I didn't have a slide in, but we did talk to our friends down in Texas. That's Hurricane, what was it called? Nicholas?
Yeah.
Nicholas?
The newest one.
I can't remember what it was called, but Nicholas that went through Texas, I guess, just now. But it was only Cat 1, right? So apparently they're okay.
Only Cat 1.
Well, Cat 1 is, but talking with James Frederick Bland this morning, and with whom else did I speak? Well, a couple others down there, but they're okay, and no big deal in Texas with that hurricane. But this is really the bigger news, is what I put on my Facebook page yesterday. This thing one hears is turning into a, dare I say it, a fustercluck of magnificent proportions. They were hoping, that is the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, Emirates, Team New Zealand, they were hoping to have a whole bunch of people, several venues lined up at least, maybe not a whole bunch, but several venues lined up at this point. And then it was a simple matter of, getting a little auction going between the 2 or 3 of them at the last minute, and then choosing one or the other. And they were hoping to announce that today, by all accounts. I've seen and heard letters read from the organizers to various people, and that has not happened. They were going to announce it today, Tuesday. It's Wednesday now morning down in New Zealand, so maybe they'll do it today. But the announcement is still not one venue or another. The announcement is this is our preferred venue, and subject to another 4 to 6 weeks of final negotiations and contract. And if that didn't work out, then that venue would fall out of bed too. So this thing, I think, is not going the way Sir Keith Mills and Grant Dalton and the Commodore of the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, to the extent they are involved. I think they were hoping that there would be a better, more formal and serious group of venue candidates at this point. And of course, the 17th is the date by when they said they would announce the venue. But we'll see if that happens. They may say maybe they're going to pick one, but we'll get into that into the Cup segment here. But let's get into a few things first. Julia, any comments before we move forward? Andrew Pindar, so obviously America's Cup, he says it's going to be in Scarborough.
Yeah, well, get ready.
I want to get there.
Everybody's got to stay at his house.
Well, I really want to go. Gordon Smith's up in Denmark as usual. Hi, Gordon. Christopher Gillingham, of course, in Leamington. Phillips Sales, that's a new name. Welcome. Bill Campbell is watching. Billy Campbell. Presumably the Bill Campbell down past Commodore down in San Diego, America's Cup winner. Stingray up in Seattle. Baton Rouge in Charleston. Tim Kent. Greetings from aboard Kent Racing on Oyster Bay. Tim, how's your fundraising going? Again, if you haven't helped him out, we want this all-American team of Tim and his daughter hoping to enter in the Transat Jacques Vabre, TJV, starting in November and running down around the Cape Verde Islands off Africa and then over to Martinique. We hope that's going to happen. We hope with him and his daughter in as the only American entry, the only father-daughter entry, the only, not the only, but the oldest entry, we think, as a skipper would be Tim Kent. He was on the show a couple weeks ago. By the way, all our shows, you can watch previous shows both on our Facebook page, on the Sailing Illustrated Facebook page, and I'm also now religiously, in fact, posting them as soon as we get off the air, nearly so, posting them up to, you're shaking your head, yes, up to YouTube.
YouTube, yeah.
Then they pop up on your YouTube feed, don't they?
Yeah. They're really easy to get to. I
came up the other night to fix you a cocktail.
Mm-hmm.
And Julia never drinks by herself. No. So, a lady of her stature and of her seniority needs a cocktail at night. So I go up and fix her a cocktail at the right moment. And the other night she was up watching our most recent show, I guess.
Yes.
I don't know. I can't watch myself. I really can't watch the show again until the next day. It's really hard.
I don't always watch it either, but
I'm so self-critical. Are you self-critical?
There's nothing good to say about me, so everything's critical.
You look great, and you do a great job. We really do appreciate our co-host. Pedro Foiling Sailor, it's that time again. Peter down. We're early in the morning. It's 07, 13.7. 13.5 is 8. I am crutonic today. So it's 0800 in Auckland, 0600 down. Look at all the hearts for you, Julia. Hi from stormy Michigan, Jim Meyer is saying, but Pedro Foiling Sailor, Peter Stevenson, a.k.a., is in Sydney, where it's early in the morning, 0600, and he goes out for his early morning bike ride, as does Alistair Murray. In Melbourne, they're still in lockdown, those poor bloody folks. And I don't know about your COVID zero strategy, you guys down there in New Zealand and Australia. New Zealand got locked down for another week as of, what was it, last night, Monday night, as of their Tuesday night, it's now Wednesday morning down there, for yet another week. At least in Auckland, they're in what they call Category 4. The rest of the country, I think, got lowered to 2, whatever that means. Stingray, to all of you wonderful people, again, if you get a bunch of distracting Stingray is watching messages during the show, please feel free to FB unfriend me. I think it will resolve it for you. Well, I don't know why that happens for some people, not many, but we get repeated. It's like they fall off the air.
It's almost like a disconnect or something.
Yeah, exactly. Jonathan Frank, I also texted with him this morning. And he's down in Texas, of course. He's our United Airline pilot in FOSI. And he's actually, like John Emmett, has submitted a video. And we, again, welcome video submissions from any number of our FOSI. Hey, Tom, are you going to be able to make mention of Jack? Yeah, Andrew, I was waiting for an obit, but maybe this is a good place to do that here in the starting line. And Andrew, if you, I'll do a full obit on Friday, but we've lost a senior serious guy here in the sport who is a judge and race officer, has been heavily involved in the Volvo Ocean Race, and I think I'll hold that for a full-on presentation for Friday, Andrew, when we have a minute and I have a more formal. I haven't seen an obit yet on him. Anyone else's feed freezing? Yaravahe wants to know. We've got full-on, no problem here. So I hope that's only local to you, Yaravahe. Ian Barker is definitely watching, Pindar is saying. Why are the badges displaying in a foreign language? Are they?
What badges?
I don't know. Jonathan Frank reporting again on that hurricane down in Houston. Those who took care of their boats are okay. Many beautiful ships were severely damaged in Kama and Galveston. Russell Green is watching, our longtime friend, esteemed rules advisor, legal advisor for Team New Zealand. He's no doubt interested. We'll see what we're going to say about the venue. I take it back. Maybe it will be after the 18th September when I make my prediction. John Emmett is Hank Phillips Sales, we mentioned. I am okay. Did you hit the little live button? I guess hitting that red live button, some people say it's brown, but the live button seems to help with some browsers, some devices. Windgrove's on down in Tampa. So Stingray asking is, well, we'll talk about the venue. Hamish, I didn't put this in the history segment when we get to it, but Hamish is reminding us that in 1752, Great Britain, American colonies, and a number of other countries adopted the Gregorian calendar. That was Pope Gregory, from memory, the 13th. Was it he the one that came up with a calendar that made sense? They replaced the Julian calendar, the Julius Caesar calendar from way back when. And Caesar had pretty well, and he and his astronomers had pretty well calculated that the time it took for the sun to go around the Earth to go around the sun. I'm starting to sound like pre-Copernicus. What a crouton.
Yes.
But he didn't do it finally enough so that after 1,000 years, the calendar was pretty far out of whack, as you all know probably, and then Pope Gregory the 13th, as I say from memory.
I'm proud of you.
Added a week in September, about this time, to put the calendar back in whack with the sun, or the Earth's orbit around the sun.
Yeah.
And that happened, as Hamish Ross is saying, in 1752, added 11 days. The day after September 2nd became September 14th. Mm-hmm. Tomorrowland ever since. Do you know who the last two countries were to adopt that? Now, that was 1752. The last two countries were Greece and Turkey, those great neighbors, great friends. Greece didn't adopt it till like 1912.
Well,
and Turkey a couple of years after that. Okay, the Greeks are very traditional, right?
Well, it was solid with him.
John Lambert's Van Buren, sorry to be late. Hello from Holland. He's saying it's always nice to have John on here, one of the great 12-meter aficionados and J-boats for that matter. Who else on here, Julie, worth mentioning before we move ahead during the starting line segment? Jay Rendell's up at White Bear Lake in lovely Minnesota, where it's starting to get chilly. Probably the leaves are about to turn. Cistercian. What does that mean, Hamish Ross? Okay, there's some private convos as usual going on. Ricardo Lobato, Saudi Arabia hosting a new women AC event will be an evolution. We are in a new world. We'll see if that happens. I'm not too sure. Pindar, I'm about to get serious. If I invite you, will you come to the Scarborough edition of the Sailing Illustrated series? By the way, Tom doesn't know yet. I don't know it. But we would come, wouldn't we, Julia?
Sure.
I'd want to go to Scarborough. I want to see that neck of the UK woods. And as I said, we'll do Andrew, we'll do a full an obit and a memorial for Jack Lloyd, who passed away suddenly, and a terrific, quiet, understated, Kiwi, I guess, and was a mentor to many judges, umpires, race officers. He ran a number of Volvo Ocean races, I think, as the regatta director, and a top-notch guy. Gentlemen, ladies, I sailed my first boat race last week in a Mum 30, Ken Saban, is saying, up in Toledo. Tricky to refuse an invite to Scarborough, Gordon Smith. Well, he just has to hop across from Copenhagen, so that's easy. Paul Humchick, I've started watching on Facebook Watch on Fire TV. It's quite stable. Okay. Jim Meyer, Commodore Meyer, saying, I find I have to log into my Facebook account to get a good connection. If I do not log in, video and audio will break up. I wonder if Facebook's trying to pull a fast one on people again. Every time we try to go to YouTube, our FOSI all complain, but let's get on with the show and stop talking about all this madness. Welcome again to everybody for our show 453. Did I say 452 at the start of the show?
I think so.
Did I? 453. Why didn't you correct me? You're too polite.
It was correct on screen.
It was? It is on screen. Bravo Zulu to these, it's a Super September, just John Emmett's call that we've been calling because there's so much going on in sport. Wonderful events. We can't begin to cover all of them, but we can talk about some of them and the ones we were telling you about last week. First, the Finn European Masters. They had fully 78 entries at Balaton. And we told you about the leader going into the last day was Akos Lukács from Hungary, and he indeed prevailed. I don't think they raced the last day. I think this high-pressure system has dominated across much of Europe. Akos Lukács has won the 2021 Finn European Masters at Balaton in Hungary, up there north of Budapest. I love Budapest. Do you? We used to have a Grand Prix there, a Formula One Grand Prix. It's one of all of our favorite. And we always stayed over on the Buda side, and we then partied in the Pest side. Budapest.
Yes.
Pest. The forecast for the day predicted very light winds, and so it turned out. The light morning breeze slowly faded, leaving a glassy Lake Balaton and sweltering temperatures with very little hope of a sailable wind in the afternoon. The plug was pulled at midday so that packing could start. And Bravo Zulu to him, and now also Baz de Waal, who was leading, as we told you on Friday, going into that last day. Saturday ended up second. There are the gentlemen on the podium. Taras Havrish from the Ukraine was third. And then down the Zdenek Gebhardt, who was an early leader, maybe even won the first race, was fourth, and on down the list. But look at the different countries involved, mostly Central and Eastern European countries.
It's nice to see.
And you know what? I asked this the other day and nobody texted me. I don't know, Julia, what RYF means. I assume that means Russian Yachting Federation, as opposed to RUS for Russia. And maybe there's some reason why Russian sailors can't compete because of, I don't know, doping or some ridiculous, or not ridiculous, but something. If anybody knows what RYF stands for and why, that's not a country code. I did check that to see if that's a country code, an Olympic country code for it. But Bravo Zulu to the Finn class. They just go from one class act to another, as does this class, the Venerable Star class. And the Star Worlds, no, not the Europeans, the Worlds were up at Kiel. Kiel Week delayed from June to September. The 2021 Star World Champions who won the event yesterday, meaning Friday, this was a Saturday report. At the end of race 5, we told you on Friday that Diego Negri of Italia and Frischhoff Clean were leading, and they sailed a flawless series and topped everyone else in the fully 83-boat fleet in the world.
Isn't that great?
Fantastic. Yeah. They opted for not racing today, Saturday, and left the field free to the teams fighting for the Star World's podium, and it proved to be quite a battle. First of all, with their nerves, and it was, I won't read the rest of the release, but they had a terrific turnout, a terrific event, and a terrific fight for the other two places. 18 boats were spotted over the starting line early in the second general recall of race 6 with a black flag hoisted, and for this they were disqualified. A heavy burden for a few, already discarding a high result in their scorecard. They all presented a request for redress, but the jury rejected all but one. Mateusz Kuznerowicz and Bruno Prado were granted redress by the international jury, but due to their first UFD, they also had a black flag disqualification in I guess the first race. It didn't help much in their hunt for a place in the spotlight. On the water, the fight for the medals was decided between the Austrians Johann Spitzauer and Hans Christian Niehammer. An Olympic silver medalist Tonci Stepanovic with Tudor Bilic from Croatia, the 2017 Star World Champion. Alvin Melleby from Norway with Guy Thomas Avalon from the USA, and Denmark's Jorgen Schönher, who had three-time European champion. Listen to these names. Marcus Coy from Germany on board, who's a Norddeutsche Regatta Verein member, Julia.
Wave the flag.
Wave your flag. Exactly right. Go ahead.
You've done very well with those pronunciations, I think.
Well, I read through them when we're putting the show together here in the morning, and having lived in Germany, one should hope to have some semblance of the Germanic language and the Romance language as well, having lived in Spain. But I apologize for being croutonic. It is unbelievable, a dream come true, commented a very emotional Diego Negri there on the left, who has been a three-time runner-up at the Star Worlds. And today he is, quote, and today was a tough day with rain and clouds around towards the end. The wind dropped a lot, so I was really, really afraid that it would be canceled and it would have been too much to take in. But luckily, we made it to the finish line. Bravo, Zulu, Diego. And just a fantastic result for him. And after Negri clean, it was close at the top there on the podium, the other two finishers we just told you about. But Diego and Frithjof, I think it's pronounced. Then Tonci Stepanovic, Johann Spitzhauer with their crews, respectively, Tudor Bilic, we mentioned, and Hans Christian Niehammer. Now look at the countries. The reason I'm putting all these results, I'll do another one here in a sec, the 6 through 10. Italy, Croatia, Austria, Denmark, Poland in the top 5 Star Worlds.
That's fabulous.
Look at this. And then 6 through 10, Norway, Germany, a repeat Croatia, France, former world champion Xavier Rohart, and yacht designer extraordinaire, lives in Spain but is originally from Argentina, Juan K as we all call him, who was sailing with Enrico Voltolini. Bravo Zulu to all of them. But what a fantastic class when you can have 9 of the top 10 from different countries, 2 from a small country like Croatia. Oh, the star's too expensive for small countries. Bloody hell. 83 boats at the Worlds. This is an Olympic class. These are strong, tough, like the Finn class athletes.
And they don't have to be new to win.
New boats.
No.
Yeah, exactly. The boats are, some of them are 2 and 3 years, 4 years. Some, have former, it goes same with the Finn class, because the boats are strong and tough and robust.
Yes. We need more of that.
We do indeed. Bravo Zulu to the Star class. Now this, Julie, you know where this beautiful club, esteemed yacht club, is?
Oh, I've seen that.
We talked about it not too long ago. That is the Eastern Yacht Club in Marblehead in Massachusetts, on North Shore, north of Boston. And in 2022, that's where the Star Worlds will be. This is the final paragraph of the release from Kiel. Prize-giving ceremony held right in the middle of the crowded Kieler Woka Festival sealed the 99th Star World Championship in Kiel, Germany's sailing city. Well, some might argue with that, but it is certainly right up there. That's probably the spiritual heart of German sailing. The class effort moves now to the centenary World Championship, the 100th anniversary, scheduled to happen from September 10th to the 17th, 2022, in Marblehead. The cradle, this is a bit much, the cradle of U.S. sailing, very close to where the first ever Star World Championship took place in 1922. Most people would think of either Newport or Annapolis or even San Diego, Long Beach, San Francisco, but certainly the North Shore of Boston, Marblehead, is a cradle of sailing. It's maybe not the cradle of sailing, but it is one of the first places besides Long Island Sound where sailing really took off here in this country in the 1800s. And where'd that go? They reference there, the first ever Star World Championship took place in 1922. Do you know where that was?
No.
It was in central Long Island Sound. They didn't name on the class's history page. They didn't name where it was. But remember, up until fairly recently, the last, 30 years, 40, maybe 30, 35 years, somebody on here will know, the winner of the Star Worlds had the privilege and responsibility to take the event back to their home club.
Oh, good.
And the first European Worlds was in 1939 in Kiel, the year before, that was before the World War II started, really. So Eastern Yacht Club Marblehead will host next year. Bravo Zulu to them. Now let's turn the page to Sail GP. There were no videos yet. I'm not avoiding playing videos, but the only video is an hour and something long. They don't have a 1 or 2 minute highlights video yet, but we will tell you, as you probably know, a lot of you are big fans of Sail GP, the Japan Sail GP team, with that very Anglo crew, other than Leonard Takahashi, Leo, our FOSI. Sail GP Team Japan moved to the top of the Sail GP season championship with a fine win in Saint-Tropez, beating the U.S. and Spain. Remember, now it's not match racing anymore. It's triple racing. It's 3 boats in the finals of Sail GP, which I like. I think that's a good move by Russell and Larry to do that. And the 3 finalists were, and it's winner take all, whoever wins that race. Sail GP Japan beating the U.S. and Spain in the final of the France Sail Grand Prix that wasn't in Marseille, it was in Saint-Tropez. Nathan Outeridge, driver, I wish they're calling him sometimes a driver, sometimes they call him the pilot. Come on, he's the skipper or the helmsman. I wish they'd stop calling him the driver or the pilot. Pilota. Outeridge, skipper for the Japanese team, once again lived up to his nickname of the Wind Whisperer. I'd never heard him called that, but
I think that's nice.
I like that too. Wind Whisperer, by dominating in the light air conditions, showing incredible consistency across the weekend, and then putting in an elite display exactly when it mattered. And it's a nice nickname. And of course, Nathan, who you wonder why he's not with an America's Cup team with his constant results in this class and the Moth class and so on. And he's top notch, and he's also a top notch commentator, as we all learned during the Cup, AC37 in Auckland. Here are the final results of that regatta in Saint-Tropez: Japan, U.S., second, Spain, New Zealand. So Pete Burling and co had a better regatta. Denmark, Great Britain, Ben Ainsley's team slipped. Billy Basson could not win his final, his home country event. And Tommy Slingsby, fresh off his win, a convincing huge win at the Moth Worlds, finished DFL here in this event. So I don't quite know what was on with Tommy, if they had boat problems.
Or his boat, yeah.
Season 2 championship standings now on the strength of their win in Saint-Tropez. Nathan and co are on top for Japan. Jimmy's moved up to second. Australia, Great Britain, Spain, New Zealand, Denmark, and Billy and the French team down at the bottom. Nikolai Sehested is from Denmark, second to last. But they're a new team. And Phil Robertson, who's not exactly new, sailing for Spain, is also not new, and he's up in 5th place. Had a good result here in Saint-Tropez. So
U.S. is higher than it's been.
Yeah, Jimmy seems to be getting it back together. I'm going to stop there before we go to flip the page to Ficker Cup, see what the comments are. Wish the Sail GP races were a little longer, Yarvahe is saying. Can Jimmy ever get a break, Jonathan Frank is saying. Stingray Spithill's USA team sailed into a big wind hole during the final, but was otherwise on fire this weekend. Yes, indeed. And I didn't watch carefully enough. Did Paul Campbell James sail with his repaired leg? Somebody will know. Luca Craig is watching. JFK, a winning star sailor as well. Yes, Hamish Ross. In fact, JFK Starboat has just been sold. It was restored and sold. I think it was maybe even auctioned someplace for a good cause. Pedro Foiling Sailor, I watched last night on YouTube a full replay of Sail GP. John Emmett, Stevie, the commentator, is also an amazing sailor. Yeah, he is. I just think the level is so high we can expect everyone to be up and down in Sail GP. I think that's a really good point, John Emmett. Really good point. More Stevens, hi, more up in Canada. John Emmett, it looked like CJ was racing. That's what I thought, John, too. I thought I heard or read that he was going to, and Steve Gruber confirming that CJ, Paul Campbell James, did in fact sail, having recovered from his broken leg from Was that one or two series ago? He broke it in the training before. It was just a month ago. That's pretty quick recovery.
I know. I was going to say, how can he do that so soon?
Windhole Alan Long is saying, is that like an air pocket? Okay. I feel a drinking game coming. Yarvahe, Jimmy said he was thinking of breaking the other leg because Paul Camel James was going so well.
Oh.
What do you think of that, Julia?
I don't.
That's clever. Yarvahe is clever.
Well, it is clever.
What's going on here there we go, my earbud. Okay, that is Sail GP, and that's the standings. They race a month from now in, where's the next one? Spain? I think it's in Spain. Somebody again will know. Dale Patterson, new name, is watching. Michael Gaber. William Haynes, Bill Haynes. CJ did race. In fact, Spithill commented he was moving fast. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for that. So you both got that comment. Let's go to the Ficker Cup, which we've been talking about. That's this qualifying regatta for Congressional Cup, which starts tomorrow. And probably not a surprise, but if it is a surprise to anybody, it's a very pleasant one. This will be the World Match Racing Tour in Long Beach Yacht Club. Denmark's Emil Kjær wins the Ficker Cup. The trio of youth sailors advance to the Congressional Cup. So this qualifier regatta we've been telling you about with Jeffrey Peterson and David Wood sailing in it and a number of others. And the three of them plus Pearson Potts from Southern Yacht Club, who's another fairly young sailor, got to the semifinals, and Kjær beat Jeffrey Peterson in the finals. It was a terrific regatta, and we were not seeing it live because we couldn't, but we were having several people text us as they went through the finals on, was it Saturday or Sunday? I can't remember.
Saturday.
Was it Saturday or Sunday? But regardless, there is Emil and his team from representing the Royal Danish Yacht Club. Remember, they were a force to be reckoned with at both Gov Cup down at Balboa Yacht Club in July, and then also at the Worlds, the Youth Match Racing World Championship, which was a couple weeks after that, also hosted by Balboa Yacht Club. And this is Emil, the blonde towhead there, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth from the left with the rest of his crew. And the board of the Long Beach Yacht Club, and LBYC is one of these clubs, you know, you get the whole board out and people say, oh, the board, why isn't it just the Commodore, or why are they in these things? Because Long Beach Yacht Club is the epitome of volunteerism.
Yes.
It takes hundreds of people to run this event, and then the Congressional Cup, which, as I mentioned, starts tomorrow. There is no finer club when it comes to volunteer action. Balboa Yacht Club down in Newport Beach. Likewise, here at St. Francis Yacht Club, the West Coast clubs and clubs across the country here, volunteerism is a big, strong thing. I'm sure in your neck of the woods too, because as John Emmett said, without volunteers, we can't run the sport, at least not very well. This was the press release. Emil Kjær, representing the Royal Danish, KDY, won the 2021 Ficker on Sunday. Okay, it was Sunday. Official event of the WMRT, qualifying his team to this week's 56th Congressional Cup, along with second and third place finishers, Jeffrey Peterson of this country and David Wood of this country as well, both at Balboa Yacht Club. Kjær, 20, who's a year older, I think, than David and Jeffrey. David may also be 20, is one of the trio of young sailors who plied, nice word, the youth match racing circuit this summer and dominated the Ficker Cup. Peterson, 19, finished second, and Wood, yeah, he's also 20, finished third. Both hail from Balboa Yacht Club down in Newport Beach. Each had their day during the finals, and all three have qualified for the Congressional Cup, which begins on the 14th, Wednesday the 14th. Or they say the 14th, but it really starts tomorrow. Today is practice sailing and racing.
It'd be fun to watch that
tomorrow. Well, you can watch it. It's live on their Facebook page. I'm not sure when it starts live, if it's only on the weekend or the whole series. This was a quote from Emil, who I tell you he's just a great kid. He's bright, quiet, humble, articulate. You know, I don't know how many languages he speaks, but he obviously speaks Danish and gets along fine. I was texting with him in Norwegian, and he speaks English probably better than I. Not better than you, Julia, but certainly better than I. We are truly, really very happy, said the young Dane. Our quote, our main goal was to do as good as well as possible and qualify for the Congressional Cup. But this win is even better. And we are so grateful that there's qualifiers for events like this. It gives young guys like us an amazing chance to join the event. Doesn't that just sound like a nice guy?
Yes.
I mean, this is not a made-up quote. He then credited his team of Gustav Vansen, Mads Podervitska, Bastian Sorensen, Nikolai Beekgaard, and Joachim Aschenbrenner for their win. Bravo Zulu to them for winning the Ficker Cup. Bravo Zulu also to Jeffrey and his team. Jeffrey, second from the right, age 19, has had just a hell of a good summer. A lot of his regulars. Tyler Wolk there on the far left, who's a veteran offshore sailor, sails with us on It's Okay and helped anchor that team as well as the other guys. They were second. Jeffrey Peterson and co. also representing Balboa Yacht Club. Ficker Cup commenced Friday, ended Sunday, and Jeffrey dominated the first day and then faltered a bit on days 2 and 3, but still a great regatta. Kiar, Peterson, and Wood have been clashing all summer long. As we mentioned, I'm not going to read the rest of that, but they've been terrific. And this is the final standings. Kiar, Peterson, Wood, Pearson Potts, Southern Yacht Club, who I think Pearson now lives in Newport, Rhode Island, but from a great Gulf Coast sailing family and tradition. Peter Holtz was 5th. Dave Hood, who's an older guy from Long Beach Yacht Club, representing that club. Pauline Courtois, who, Julia, we know from here, I think I mentioned on the show Friday,
right,
was here at St. Francis Yacht Club. That was the world. I couldn't remember the name. It was the Nations Cup. World Sailing has this thing now called the Nations Cup. They've got too many events.
Yeah.
But they had both men's and women's events and they sailed in the J22s, and Pauline, I think, won it in the women's event. Nicole Briot from this club, also from St. Francis, who won the U.S. Women's Match Racing Championship 3 weeks ago, finished 8th. So she didn't have such a hot regatta. There is Jeffrey on the left and David Wood on the right in a terrific composite photo by Bronnie Daniels with their Balboa Yacht Club Burgee in the middle. We're very proud. I am a proud member of that club. And we're very proud of these kids. And again, match racing is terrific for learning boat handling, for learning rules, for learning tactics, for all the stuff that goes into other disciplines in the sport. The concerted effort of people like Dave Perry, Andy Rose, and many others in this country, Dawn Riley at Oak Cliff, have really lifted the match racing game, especially for youth match racers, and we're seeing it pay off now in spades.
Right. Everyone who, especially the young sailors, attribute lots of good things to match racing.
Exactly. So there's no mystery about it. And of course, it's also no mystery why New Zealand and Australia dominate in so many aspects, and the UK, because they all have strong match racing components. We're now seeing Denmark, Sweden, even Italy and France, a little bit in Germany. So bravo, Zulu, full marks to everybody involved. Balboa Yacht Club's Jeffrey Peterson and David Wood. Nice stuff. Here are the skippers going forward now. The 10 teams going into the Congressional Cup racing starting tomorrow. Taylor Canfield, who I can confirm that did have a bout of COVID, and I don't know if he was vaxxed or not. I assume he was, and it was breakthrough. But Taylor is better. He's recovered, had a couple negative tests now, and he will be able to sail. Johnny Berenson from Sweden, who's a perennial and terrific guy and a lot of fun. He's sailing. Sam Gilmore from Australia, from the famous Gilmore family, Royal Freshwater Bay Yacht Club, Royal Perth Yacht Club in Perth. Of course, his dad, Peter Gilmore, of Cup fame. You know what Peter Gilmore does now?
Mm-mm.
He grows your favorite beef. Grows, is that the raises? Your favorite. He raises Wagyu beef.
Yeah.
In Australia.
Oh, good.
We need to get Peter as a sponsor of this show and send us some of his. Apparently, it's top notch. Jeffrey Peterson, we mentioned, David Wood, the two youngsters, along with Emil there down in the lower right. But Eric Monin from Switzerland, Maxime Mesnil from France also. So we got two French entries. Dustin Durant, who's an up-and-coming match racer representing Long Beach Yacht Club. Chris Poole, also from the U.S., and the aforementioned Emile Kiar round out the 10 skippers. I think they normally have 12. But COVID, again, limiting not so much people getting here, but the ability for people to get home, and then having to go into the quarantine and 2 weeks of paying for a hotel room is, a lot of you know, $300 a night.
Seems like there are more U.S. competitors this time.
I think that's right. They're filling out. They would normally only take the winner of the Ficker Cup, named after the late great Bill Ficker, who of course won the America's Cup 1970 in the yacht.
I don't remember.
Intrepid.
Oh, Intrepid.
Ficker is quicker.
Yes.
And it was Intrepid's second win, one of only 2 boats to have won the Cup twice.
That I will remember now.
The other one being, it would take great courage to come up with this answer. Courageous.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So there's your Congressional Cup. We'll be following the Con Cup. You can watch it on their Facebook page, I think, maybe their YouTube page too. And I don't know if they go live tomorrow or later in the week for the semis and finals, but you'll be able to watch
There's
it.
an announcement on their website. I read it, but I don't remember.
See if anybody's got that. Somebody, I think Taylor C. was at Sail GP this weekend. Yeah, he was for Team USA. He did sail, so he's a busy boy as well. And of course, he's now representing ostensibly the New York Yacht Club in the next America's Cup. He and Mike Buckley have been chosen to represent New York if they go ahead with the Cup. I say if, they're planning to. They say they are, but we'll see where it is. Hamish Ross, also Columbia, was twice a 2-time winner. That is true. Columbia, the Gem of the Ocean, won the first 12-meter America's Cup, which was in what year, Julia? 1950. 8?
I was going to say 9, yeah.
And the skipper, who was a consummate sportsman, race car driver. See who of our foes, not you, Hamish, don't put the name in here. See which of our FOSI can come up with. He, in his later years, was out in San Diego in North County and wanted me to come out and brief him on what was going on in the Cups in 88, 92. And I used to go out and have a glass of wine with him.
How nice.
In his fabulous home. See if anybody comes up with his name. Bill Wingrove did. Bill's a very, very smart guy. Ed Worley did as well. Briggs, Cunningham.
Yeah.
And while we're on this, Clark Chapin's got it as well. While we're on all of this, what did Briggs Cunningham invent, which is used on virtually all sailboats today? The Cunningham hole, or the Cunningham, the Brits and the Aussies and Kiwis call it the Cunningham Ring. It's a grommet. It's a grommet in the tack of the mainsail is the forward lower corner. So you got the mast and the boom. In the forward lower corner is the tack of the sail. Just above the tack is a ring, a grommet, that he invented, that he had the sailmakers put in their sail and run a rope up through it so you could tension and ease the tension on the luff of the mainsail easily without having to pull the main halyard up, or before that you used to adjust what's called the gooseneck, which is where the boom meets the mast. And you'd move the boom literally up and down on a track on the mast, which was croutonnic. And Briggs, the smart guy that he was, figured out to put this grommet, this ring, sewn in the sail up 6, 8, 10, 12 or more inches up, and you run a rope through it, and you could quickly tension and ease. It caused a little pucker down there. Everybody said, "Oh, is that good? Sail's not very smooth." That worked great.
Yeah.
And the ability to tension for upwind sailing. Smart. And as the mast bent and changed the position of the draft fore and aft in the sail, I digress. But that is way more valuable than having whatever drawback there is down there. We're all at windage with the boom and the mast, where you have that little fold, a wrinkle in the mainsail. By the Cunningham hold, invented by Briggs Cunningham, who won the America's Cup 1958 in the Yacht Columbia. Now, how was that for going from one
I'm proud of you.
thing to another? You learn something new every day, John Emmett. Just see, the Laser's got only a Cunningham. The Laser, very smartly, in the tack of its sail, it's a luff, sleeve luff mainsail in the Laser, and there's just a big grommet there where the rope goes up through it, a line, and you trim the luff tension on the Laser sail with that grommet, the tack. The Monster, which was a Cadillac-powered endurance racer that was the terror of Le Mans. Yes, that was a car that Briggs Cunningham was. That guy was a race car driver. He was from Connecticut. Was from a wealthy family. Nice guy, unassuming, bright. Clark Chapin, the third two-time AC winner, Columbia.
You forgot there's Tom Blackletter.
Yeah, well, they're talking about Tom Black. That's not quite the way Shelby to spell his name, but close enough. The third two-time AC winner, or is he making a joke about a black hauler, which was a kringle on the foot of the main? The third two-time AC winner, Columbia, was not the 12-meter Columbia, but a 90-footer that won in 1899 and 1901. Clark Chapin, the laser Cunningham, is also the only thing that keeps the mast attached to the hull. Clark Chapin, wow.
Uh-huh.
Paul Homchick is watching. Don Blackhauler was also a race car driver. In fact, he died up here. What's that racetrack up here in Napa?
Yeah, it's in Sonoma.
In Sonoma. Is it the Sonoma racetrack or
No.
something else? Tom Blackhauler died. He had a heart attack driving around that track, didn't he?
Yeah, no, but he'd stopped. He had been driving around and he stopped. And after he stopped,
I think he had a heart attack and then stopped.
And died.
And died right there on the spot. Sad. What a great personality he was.
Oh, absolutely.
Sonoma Raceway, Ken Glidewell. Thank you, Commodore. That's our esteemed past Commodore, St. Francis Yacht Club, who had the worst luck. Ken Glidewell did, because he was Commodore during the COVID year, 2020, and the club was, was open, sort of. Open
Hardly.
and closed.
I feel so sorry for him. We should give him a second chance.
We should not only do that, but we should have him on the show sometime and talk about how difficult that was to navigate through the COVID year. He's such a nice guy, too.
He is.
Kenny Glidewell. Ken, I'm nobody calls him Kenny except me. I shouldn't. That's not true. A lot of people call him Kenny. But once you're the Commodore of St. Fancy, you shouldn't be called Kenny. You should be called Sir Ken. Ken Glidewell. John Emmett, not true. Class rules, you must have a mast retainer attached at all times whilst afloat. Otherwise, this is the laser. Otherwise, with a loose Cunningham, the mast could fall out if you turned turtle. So I guess you have to have some other rope now to keep the mast in. Steve Groover, I believe Briggs's wife was the first woman national champion in the Atlantic class. Is that true? Wow, Steve, thanks for that. Briggs Swift Cunningham, what an appropriate middle name. Ted Ryman is saying, yes, he's probably Googled, and that is true. I defer to your expertise, Clark is saying to, I guess, Hamish. Shall we move on?
Okay.
Let's get to the America's Cup. A lot of people want to know about what's going on with the venue, including us.
I know.
The AC-37 Cup date 2024 and AC-40 announced for women and men. That's the same lower third I used on the show last Friday. Nothing has changed. That was the news last Friday, and it continues to be the only real news. There's still lots of speculation whether it's going to be Ireland. Now, not Valencia. I changed Valencia to Spain because there's another group that claims to have Barcelona teed up, which is a lot of, I think I won't characterize it. I think it's a long shot. Then there's Jeddah, of course, in Saudi Arabia, who have gone quiet, and Auckland. I still think it's going to be in Auckland, and if you read our favorite blogger, Magnus Wheatley, he said Auckland is what he's hearing, that it's going to be back in Auckland because these other places aren't going to pan out, or so he thinks. So is it going back to Auckland?
I hope it is for Auckland's sake.
I do. I hope it for the sakes of the sport.
Yes. And
the number of teams that'll show up. I think everything will be enhanced in Auckland. I think the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron should run it there. And the sport will be much better off if it is there. But there's some funny things afoot.
Yes.
This was tweeted today by America's Cup Events, by the America's Cup Authority. It's a very brief tweet, and it's a teaser video. Have a look.
75-foot foiling monohulls in racing like you have never seen before. Let's go racing, everybody.
Just fantastic action right out of the blocks.
Now, in my little earpiece, I'm not sure I could hear what all that was. I hope you could all hear it more clearly. But that was, I thought, a strange video to tweet, to send out, to post today, of all days, AC 75s and then talk about Auckland, like where else would or could it be? As we told you on Friday, just before we went to air, we got this press release, texted back and forth a little bit, although he's under an NDA, so he would tell me precious little. Out of Niccolo Porzio, who's our longtime friend, former neighbor when we lived there in Valencia, out north of town in Puthol. And the release, of course, announcing that Valencia and the people behind that bid had pulled the proverbial plug. And they couldn't get their arms around it. They said they had the money, but they couldn't meet the demands, including what I've been telling you for weeks, and now I'm hearing is quite true. They RNZ and ETNZ and Sir Keith Mills' organization, the Origin Sports Group, who are running this bidding contest, are demanding $15 million, 15 million something. I don't know if it's euros, dollars, pounds, Kiwi dollars, up front. It's refundable, but it's the fee that you earnest money you got to pull out up front to say that here we are, we're ready to do this. And the Valencianos, led by Niccolo Porzio, said they wouldn't do, and the GM at the Yacht Club, at the Real Club Náutico de Valencia, they said, no, we're not going to do that. And some of the other demands, apparently, and they wouldn't tell me because, again, they're under an NDA, what the other demands were, but they found them untenable, to say the least. So that was the withdrawal. Now you say, well, what about our friends up in Cork, Ireland? Well, sorry, before I get to that, there is what they call themselves, see up at the top, the nonconformist website. This is a website that is a kind of sports-oriented, as best I can tell, website called OK Diario, the OK Diary or newspaper. And the headline, this is a Google Trans, thanks Stingray for this, the return of Copa America to Spain in the hands of the government. Quote, it would be a great source of wealth for the country, unquote. In this article, I couldn't see it in any of the other papers, and I do read Spanish, and I do have lots of friends in Spain, and was looking through all the other places where you might see it, the local papers and national papers. The fight between the three favorite candidates has been brewing for some time, but this week is the decisive one. In the short list are Spain, Ireland, and Saudi Arabia. You are the last two with a strong investment. Okay, it's a Google Trans. They have the money, but the Spanish candidacy, this website is claiming, has the yes of the New Zealand team, the winner of the last three editions and who is in charge of choosing the venue in their attempt to get the fourth consecutive title. So that's not quite correct either. Close enough. Unlike the Irish city of Cork or the port of Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, the climate in Spain pleasantly benefits Team New Zealand, which has already opted for Spain, pending, this website asserts, the decision of the government, which has to lift the thumb as a sign of final okay. I guess that means not what you do to me, but this.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Croutonicism of major proportions. As the late great Harry Anderson, Commodore Harry Anderson in New York would say, this is foobar.
Foobar.
Fudged up beyond all recognition. He wouldn't say that. He would have never said that. He would have said,
yes, I know.
Fairly well.
Fairly well.
Fairly well.
Yes.
So I don't believe this for a minute. And I can also tell you, we'll reveal it here, that the guy called Francesco De Leo, whom I know well, and whom we talked about doing various things together, he had an America's Cup effort called GreenCom that got excused from participation way before they ever made it to the finals here in San Francisco in 2013. He tried to get an AC-45 on that circuit going. And Francesco De Leo was part of the Valencia group, one of the signatories, in fact, leading lights. And when Valencia said, hey, we're not going to do this, we can't do this, the money, and he said, well, I'll transfer, and he just ginned this thing up for Barcelona. And if Russell Green's on here watching, he was texting me furiously last Friday to say, oh, there's another Spanish effort, don't worry. And I dutifully reported what Russell was texting, but suffice to say, this effort Do you know what the politics are right now in Spain? Do you know what's going on in the central government and how upset they all are at Barcelona and Catalonia because Catalonia and Barcelona want to secede?
Right.
And they may.
Mm-hmm.
So this Crutonicism
Separate
afoot.
languages.
As we've been telling you for months, this is not going to happen in Spain unless Mr. Ineos, Sir James Ratcliffe, Jim Ratcliffe, pays for it. And if he says, I want this thing in Spain and we'll pay for it, and whether it's in Valencia or Barcelona or Palma or tell me where, then it could end up in Spain. But I don't see that happening either. Do you?
I don't. But what do I know? Yeah.
Clark Chapin says this is the sailing equivalent of vaporware. Well, no, these, as I said at the top of the show, they had hoped, the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron and the ETNZ hoped to have a number of bids, firm bids, with the $15 million earnest money in hand from which they could choose and announce it today, tomorrow, sometime before the 17th. Not happening. And, you know, in this day in COVID and with all the, with inflation and with Brexit and all the other stuff going on affecting the world economy, China, not to mention some of the other stuff like Afghanistan. Graham Sweeney, the AC Village at Valencia when I was there was falling apart and has been taken up by car showrooms. It is it's not going to be, it was not going to be there, Graham. It was going to be around the corner in part of the old harbor and part of the new port harbor. So they have a different facility than the so-called Darsena Interior, which is where we had the 07 Cup and where Alinghi's base was also for 010. Our base for Oracle in 10 was out in this area where they were going to have it if it was in Valencia again for 2024. What else? There are lots of comments here. Jim should pay towards Auckland, Ted Ryman is saying. Agreed. Totally agree. Clark Chapin, as an old comic strip once said, let me illustrate the probability of this happening by using a propane torch and this snowball. Stingray, there is no bidding war going on, unfortunately, for ETNZ. Well, that seems to be the problem. I don't think they need more than one in order to announce Gordon Smith. That's true. Jonathan Frank, if Mr. Ineos can afford anywhere, why wouldn't he want it in New Zealand? Well, why wouldn't he want it in the Solent? But apparently, Sir Ineos, as I call him, Jim Ratcliffe, whom I haven't met, but Sir James Ratcliffe and Ben Ainsley's team, Ineos Team UK, have lost the lease on their base in Plymouth.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
And, you know, they were trying to get a 50-year lease, 49-year lease, or a 99-year lease on it, and the city apparently wouldn't give it to them. So those of you on here will know better than I. Mark Reed has made a comment. Mark's very dialed in. He's a very smart guy, longtime cover of the Cup. My biggest concern with Jeddah, 9/11 aside, are the weather conditions, lack of wind, and an enjoyable social environment. Also, could women actually be able to sail there? Yes, indeed. Ed Worley, with the huge cost of putting together an AC team now, the next AC will not have the large number of teams participating. Liz Pleasance has joined us and is watching. Okay, so that's what's going on with this supposed Spanish second bid. I don't believe it for a minute. Sorry, Russell Green, if you're watching, tell me if I'm wrong. Now, there's been all sorts of ink now about Cork, and it looks like the government is holding the keys to that proverbial kingdom. Here's what you need to know about Cork, the America's Cup, and the crunch cabinet decision coming tonight, Tuesday night. Well, they should be doing that as we speak, because it is what? 2200 there? It's probably already happened. This is an article by J.J. Donahue from buzz.ie. IE, of course, is the internet country code for Ireland. The cabinet is expected to meet tonight and thrash out whether Ireland, which is now favorite to host the 2024 event since Valencia pulled out of the two-horse race. They're calling it a two-horse race over the weekend, should move forward to the next phase, which entails further negotiation with the race organizers. At stake is a massive public investment, 150 million euro, if the race goes ahead in Cork. And hanging over it all is a vote of no confidence in this guy Simon Coveney, I guess it is, who has been the point man. I think he's the sports minister, who has been the point man to bring the prestigious event to Ireland for the first time ever. So I don't know the local politics. I'm not going to pretend to opine on any of that. But there are a number of other articles, including another one in the Irish Times that just came out. It was sent to me just before we went to air, and I might just read from it here. I think I can read from it. In any event, it was another article that was actually quite negative on the social responsibilities and so on of what's going on. I guess I'm not going to find it. I was looking at it when I was in hair and makeup, getting ready for today's show, which means a shower and a shave. And those of you who are asking, my black eyes are gone. Thank you. There's no makeup on there. Cover up black eyes anyway. Cover up wrinkles and that sort of thing. So I don't know what's going on with Ireland, but it sounds to me like there is a guy who's the Simon Coveney, I guess it is, who is really keen on doing it. And he's himself has got political problems. Apparently his ministry doesn't support it. His own ministry doesn't really support it. You know, it's a he said, she said. People are saying, hey, if we're going to spend 150 million euros on this, why don't we do other things that we need post-COVID, not on what some people would call a silly sailboat race. I wouldn't call it that ever, would I, Julia?
No, especially if you say it'll bring 300 million back.
Well, but the problem with that is you don't know for sure that it's going to. It's a bit of a risk. And after the economic impact report from what Auckland AC 37, which people say, well, that was because of COVID, which is fair. It was because of COVID.
Yes.
Normally you'd have a lot more visitors and a lot more economic impact. Well, this is the government minister. I believe it's the guy on the right. I'm not 100% sure who's pushing this, and the finance minister and so on. We'll see what happens. Monica Diaz is saying hi from Spain. Monica, go sort that out. Let us know what's really going on there. We're from the government and here to help is what I think of that. What I think of that picture. Anytime you involve government, one of you, smart FOSI, texted this morning and said, what's a government going to do when they're talking about spending public money when you're dealing with guys, the richest guy in the UK like Jim Ratcliffe, and some of the other rich guys, the New York Yacht Club and the billionaires involved in backing their team and so on and so forth, to say nothing of going against Jeddah and the Saudi Arabian shake and bakes. We'll see how that all goes. But this is an interesting development here because on the radio in Ireland this morning, and yes, we have it, is our longtime friend and FOSI, Richard Gladwell, who's, I think, been on this show more times than anybody else. Not lately, got to get him back on. He was on the radio in Ireland this morning trying to convince them that this is a good deal. Have a listen to this. It's not great.
This time mainly because of COVID. Now, Richard Gladwell is a journalist with Sail World in New Zealand. He spoke to me this morning, or very late for his time in New Zealand, and he told me what the status of the bid was here from Ireland and what was happening now.
Basically, the government's got to come in and back it and sign it off, and then there's going to be a period of negotiation go through after that, which will probably last about 6 to 8 weeks. And that's really, just doing the contractual detail.
New Zealand, last time, as you've hosted it a couple of times, but last time it operated at a loss.
Basically, as soon as COVID came, which, was in March 2020, the government here effectively walked away from anything to do with getting benefit out of the America's Cup. There were no tourists come in terms of America's Cup fans. Virtually no real benefit accruing to the country that you would normally have got out of hosting an America's Cup here, and they were just quite prepared to take the hit in the name of, COVID.
When you had hosted it in the past, when Auckland had hosted it in the past, did it make a profit?
Well, it certainly returned more than they put into it, yes. I mean, the thing when you look at whether or not it makes a profit is there's a couple of ways of looking at it, and one of it is they look at its economic value, but what people tend to forget with the America's Cup is they just look at that as a sort of a very isolated, tournament, if you when they talk about it making a loss, what they don't tell you is that they lumped all the infrastructure work in under the bracket of America's Cup cost.
Yeah, they rebuilt a lot of Auckland, actually.
Oh, it was massive. And they did that the first time where they had an old fishing harbour there that was completely derelict. And there was a major project that went in there, and I mean, it's now, it's what they call the jewel of Auckland. So
we're being told that the bill in Ireland could be up to 200 million euros. Where will that money go? Where will it be spent?
It's 200 million euros. They're lumping in a lot of infrastructure cost in with that. You've got to separate out the actual cost that goes for the campaign, you know, for the event, and what the government's planning to spend on infrastructure. So, you know, there's a list floating around there of, you know, stuff they're doing with electrification of railway lines from Cork through to the regatta area and all that sort of thing. So you can't lump that cost into the, you know, 200 million euros. I mean, that's infrastructure costs. What you've got to do with the Cup is work out how we're going to use this for the benefit of Ireland.
And that is Richard Gladwell, a journalist with Sail World in New Zealand. And my thanks to Richard for staying up for us.
Okay, so what'd you think? What'd you think of that? Oh, Richard.
Yeah. Well, he's right. He did bring up some important points because it isn't an afternoon race. It's a 3-month.
Well, it's more than that. It's the year before too.
Yeah.
People showing up and training, and which is one of the problems with Jeddah. They're not going to. Jeddah thinks. I think Jeddah thinks these people are going to show up like for a week or two of golf or a tournament or a tennis tournament or a long weekend of Formula One race. Exactly. They don't realize these people are going to come and live there for a while. And do they want families moving there and doing it? I doubt it. So I think when they figure this all out. But Richard, I thought it was interesting that Richard was trying to sell the Irish on how to host it.
Well,
Eddie's a smart guy, you know. I don't know. I thought it was interesting. Before we leave, I'll leave Richard's picture up there. Well, maybe I'll just go to the two of us. But this is the Irish Times article from about 3 hours ago. So it'll appear in their paper on Wednesday morning. It's up on their website now. The headline is, I don't know if you can see that.
Can't see it. It's exposed.
There you go.
There you go.
Government not yet in position to make, they're getting our election results here too. Not in a position to make announcement on America's Cup. Now that's this guy Coveney, and he's saying he's the Minister for Foreign Affairs. He's saying Minister for Foreign Affairs Simon Coveney has said the government is not, quote, just yet, unquote, in a position to make an announcement on the prospect of Cork hosting the 2024 America's Cup, which is facing internal resistance in the coalition. Mr. Coveney has championed the project, arguing the prestigious yacht race is third only to the Olympics and Soccer World Cup. Well, you know, that's just frankly not true. We always used to say that, but it's simply not true. You look at Formula One or Rugby World Cup, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
But others in the coalition remain unconvinced as concern builds. This is in the Irish Times today, on the website about 3 hours ago. Concern builds about the cost of underwriting the race. Some officials believe the state could yet face costs exceeding 200 million euros to run the race, a big burden at a time of post-pandemic constraints on public finances. A report of the government by consultants Ernst & Young, EY projects 150 million euro in costs and potential economic benefits of up to 400 million to 500 million, but there is skepticism among the coalition that the prospect of such gains being realized. And then it goes on and on and on and on. And other ministers are quoted back and forth and so on and so forth. So that's the Julia.
Graham Sweeney says, why is Richard trying to convince Ireland to take the cup away from his
I don't know. I thought it was
home?
I think, to be fair, I think Richard was just trying to be helpful. He's obviously very knowledgeable. He's a Kiwi, so the radio reached out to him and say,
right,
Say,
Well, maybe that puts more pressure on Auckland.
yeah. Alex Rudkin is saying an F1 race returns a profit to teams via hospitality structures and clothing sales and event tickets in paddock yes, exactly. Club access, paddock club access, which has a more commercially viable program than America's Cup, more commercially viable. Jonathan Frank, you good bud. Okay. Let's now move to Jeddah and what we know about Jeddah.
That still looks good.
Looks great. That's the Formula One track. They have a race scheduled, and I assume it's going to happen on the 1st of December.
5th of December.
Sorry, 5th of December, their first Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. But otherwise, the only thing I know about that venue is
Crickets.
we see nothing, we hear nothing. And I used my little sound pads here on the for the first time. I'm sometimes such a kid. I had a pirate radio station in my bedroom in high school. And you know what? I'm just back to being a pirate television station. You know, that's what we are. We're a pirate TV station, Julia.
Yeah, oh, yes, we are.
Pirata. Mm-hmm. So this thing, I don't know if this is going to happen, but there's been nothing. I'm sure they're waiting to see these other bids fall out of bed, and then they won't have to negotiate against other people. They can probably take it or leave it and say, yeah, we'll do it, but we're not going to give anywhere near 200 million euros or 100 million euros or whoever knows what else is on offer. We've heard various numbers, dollars, euros, pounds, kiwis, who knows what it is. So that's as we know it, as I know it, and that's why I put this up on my Facebook page yesterday. Yes, I did Photoshop that and found the biggest AP flag and then resized it. Did you see I turned it also so that it looks like it's I actually
like it's blowing the white ray.
Well, like it's on the halyard.
Yeah.
On the yard arm halyard. So I think they're under postponement. They're not going to announce a venue this week. They may, in fact, announce their first choice, which is what they've been saying now. They haven't said that publicly, but that's what they're telling the other venues. Hey, we want to announce you as the first choice. Sounds like they're telling that to everybody. We want to announce you as the first choice, the preferred choice. Mm-hmm. And then we'll negotiate for 4 to 6 weeks. So don't hold your breath. I don't think we're going to hear about this anytime soon. And if Magnus Wheatley is right, and if our preferences come to fore, I think it's going to be Auckland before we're done. I hope so. I think so.
It's got to be easier to do that.
But I think in the meantime, we're under postponement.
Well,
we'll see. They could come out with an announcement today. It's Wednesday down there at 14. It's 14:14 here, so it's 9:14 down there. And who knows? Maybe they're preparing the release as we speak. Are you referring to the Kiwi Mumble? Interesting that the Saudi Arabia F1 circuit is laid out so that it is very unlikely that a car will go into the sea. Clark Chapin, who's a car guy, he's worked in Detroit for Generous Motors for a year. A lesson learned from Monaco. Well, they haven't any cars go into the sea in Monaco anytime soon. Pedro Foiling said, Tom, if you're a pirate, where is your pirate hat and parrot? Well, maybe we need that. Little parrot here on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Pirate hat. We're just a pirate. Oh, Ralph Roberts is on. Speaking of great guys.
I saw him earlier, yeah.
So, yeah, you go back to form. When you get old, you do what you did as a kid, I guess. Okay, any other comments on this whole America's Cup thing before we move forward? Monica Diaz, I will talk to Antonio Banderas El Zorro to bring the cup to Malaga. That would be good. Malaga would be fun.
Yeah.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it, Julia?
Especially with Antonio Banderas.
Where's your Buccaneers, Graham Sweeney? Okay, here we go. Let's get to history. Speaking of the America's Cup, this day in history, 14th of September in 2013. Okay, there was an America's Cup, and there was the America's Cup here in San Francisco.
Right.
What happened on the 14th of September, 2013? There's your first clue.
It was the accident.
Which accident?
that
Close. Alex Hayworth probably knows. He's just joined. Not forgetting the wooden leg. No, I'm not going to have a peg leg.
yeah.
Here's your second clue.
Yeah.
The day that ETNZ almost capsized,
Right.
and I would argue, others don't necessarily agree with me, but I would argue was the turning point in the series. Do you know what the line score was that day that ETNZ almost capsized?
0-0-0-1-1-1.
No. How many race wins did each team have? Well, guess what? I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, no, it was 0-8 or something.
Exactly. Well done. Emirates Team New Zealand nearly capsized in race 8 of the America's Cup, allowing the defending champion Oracle Team USA to sail away to a 52-second victory Saturday on windy San. This is Bernie Wilson writing for the Associated Press. A 50-second victory Saturday on windy San Francisco Bay. In the most heart-stopping moment of the regatta, the Kiwis' 131-foot wing sail did not pop to the correct side after they tacked, apparently because of a lack of pressure in the hydraulic system, as the crew tried to tack on the American boat to keep its slight lead. 72-foot catamaran began to tip over, with its starboard hull rising high into the air. The boat appeared to come within a few degrees of going over before the crew got the wing to pop, and the boat splashed down. Again, Bernie Wilson, who is the best writer, mainstream writer in our sport, longtime friend, been on this show, he's a FOSI, down in San Diego. He covers baseball, he covers normal mainstream sports. But he can take, in 3 paragraphs, 3 sentences even, and explain something so clear that you don't have to be a yacht's man or woman to understand it, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just crystal clear of what happened. Here is the video. No commentary, just the video. We're tacking for the upwind gate. ETNZ tacking ahead to leeward. The wing does not pop. The new concave side. Oracle avoids the collision. They got a penalty. That was scary. And heart-stopping, as Bernie Wilson said.
Yes.
From another angle. And if they'd capsized, I'm pretty sure it would have been series over then and there. Yet another angle. We get this from all 4 angles. On board Oracle. How was that, Julia?
Fine. I was thinking about where I was.
Where were you?
In the Golden Gate Yacht Club, watching you write your
my condolences.
Your concession speech.
Concession speech for Norbert Byron, the Commodore?
Yep.
I don't know if that was then, but were we at Gold Gate that day? Were
yeah.
You? Not down in the VIP hospitality, down in the village.
No, I don't think so.
Well, that was quite a moment. And Team New Zealand was up 6-0 and still needed 3 wins to take the oldest trophy in international sports, owned by the software billionaire Larry Ellison, who needs still to win 9 races to keep the old mug. And that was...
I take it back. We were in the hospitality. Right?
I think we were in the VIP hospitality. But nonetheless, it was looking pretty glum. Done. And that was the turning point, I think, when on this day in history, 2013, ETNZ nearly capsized in race 8. And why is it race 8 when the line score is only 6-0? Because Oracle started out -2 because of the penalty from the jury over the incident, the scandal from the World Series racing. This day in history, I want to thank Hamish Ross, who helps us with some of these things. He didn't prepare that for me, but he did remind me that that had happened on that day. He reminded me, he told me that it happened on that day, because he has a great list of all those dates,
Yes.
historical dates. And I commend his Facebook page to you. He writes, especially in Super September when so much happened during the Cup, he's writing each day about historical things. I know a lot of you, Gordon Smith and various others, Bill Wingrove, really like it a lot, so I commend it to you.
I do too.
You do?
Yeah.
Amazing that the boat wasn't severely damaged, or was it? No, apparently, Jonathan Frank, it was not. Dumb to have an AC in such unstable boats, or one bad move can end the series. I don't know. Those boats, going back and looking at them, they look pretty cool. That racing looks pretty exciting, and it was pretty close, even though the series wasn't all that close. It was fantastically exciting at the time, Yarvahe is saying. Oh, they're still back. I made the mistake of talking about pirates. Now they're all pirating. There probably is a drinking game going on, Julie, every time we say pirate. I'm not a pirate, the least thing. I was a pirate once, I think, if my mother's on here.
We were attacked by pirates in the Red Sea.
You were?
Yeah, I mean.
You and your late great husband were on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
They didn't throw anybody over.
In the Indian Ocean.
They didn't throw, that wasn't when they threw the person over on the wheelchair.
No.
That was gruesome.
We were an hour and a half by jet from land.
I try to read all, Ted Ryman is saying, I try to read all of Hamish's historical posts. They are excellent. Couldn't agree more. Thanks, Hamish, for that. Dr. Hamish Ross, FOSI and Cup historian. Let's get to John Emmett, who's filed a report, and a cool report about Bart's Bash.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the FOSI. I'm here at the Andrew Simpson Centre, based at the Weymouth and Portland National Sailing Academy, for Bart's Bash. Now, back in the day, Andrew Simpson was one of the most well-known sailors in the British sailing team, and quite simply was an absolute legend. He was so encouraging to the young sailors, and since his tragic death associated with the America's Cup, his legacy has lived on with the Andrew Simpson Foundation. This has been getting young people on the water, and every year the organisation grows and grows. Today is a very special day, indeed weekend. We have Bart's Bash, which is in memory of Andrew Simpson and raising funds for the foundation and just getting lots and lots of people on the water having fun. As you can see, we have a typical Weymouth day here with sunshine, 20 knots of westerly wind, and I think people just can't wait to get on the water. It's going to be
Okay, that caught me by surprise. I didn't mean to cut John off there when I edited the tail end of his video. It's going to be just a terrific event. And by the way, it takes place all over the world, not just in the UK and in many different sailing centers in the UK. But Bart's Bash is celebrated here in the East Bay. I know they had something commemorative as well. Andrew Simpson, who of course lost his life here in the training accident with Artemis racing when the boat, the AC-75, their training boat, folded up, and he got caught in the rigging and so on and drowned. And that was the only death, I think, connected to. There may have been one other death in my now 40 years of doing this, being involved with the Cup in one capacity or another. I think we lost a Spanish foredeck sailor, foredeck man, when a spinnaker pull, I think, hit him in the forehead in a training accident. But I can't remember. Somebody on here might remember. John Emmett, why not post a link to your YouTube interview on the topic? I got a lot of news from it. Yeah, John, please do that, because John also is posting other videos with his nice new microphone.
Yes.
And at least the windshield, the windscreen for his mic. And this event, which John was reporting on, is a cool event, as we said, and at least locally there at their National Sailing Academy in and around Weymouth. They get the bouncy things out for the kids, and the families come, and this all done in memory of Bart Simpson, Andrew Simpson. And they get these boats, and they get a lot of first-time, they have kids, excellent, good sailors, not kids, but adults as well, who then take people sailing in the RS Zests and the other boats, the lasers and so on. And it's a terrific way to promote the sport. Bravo Zulu to John and everyone else involved with the Bart Simpson Foundation. The commemorative, the memorial. And I hope that goes strong for many, many years to come. They raised a lot of money. Another thing that John reported on, that we just run a couple photos, was the GBR, the Women's Match Racing Nationals took place. Also, it was a very busy weekend in the sport, as we said, across the globe, but particularly in the UK, as they had the Women's Match Racing Nationals right there also in Weymouth or near Weymouth. And it was won by Ellie Cumsey, Rosie Pavel, Pippa Benson, and Emily Au. So bravo Zulu to them. Talk about match racing and talk about the UK with their keelboat program and also their match racing efforts. We, of course, Julia, know Matty Whitfield, who stayed here at the Beach Street Yacht Club, who was the British match racing champion. He was the junior champion. He was the collegiate champion and a bunch of others. So bravo Zulu to them and to Ellie, Rosie, Pippa, and Emily for their win in the UK Match Racing Nationals. Ladies, oh yeah, obviously I didn't point that out, but I should. The boats are identified for this event. It's boat LADIES, obviously. And that is cool. Thanks, John Emmett, for that. Don't you think that's cool, Julie?
I do.
Oh, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's carry on now. Lots of thumbs up and hearts. Baton Rouge Super September continues. The Leukemia Cup in Charleston Harbor last weekend raised $170K. Congratulations, Baton Rouge and everybody in Charleston, which we mentioned on the show last Friday is now, I think, the #1 tourist center to try. It's a great city. If you've never been, you're coming to the States. We'd love you to come to San Francisco, but there's a lot of problems in San Francisco right now, making the city less attractive than it once was. And Charleston does not have those problems. Charleston, South Carolina, fabulous sailing city, home to the College of Charleston, one of the perennial college sailing powerhouses in this country, and a lovely year-round climate. Can be a little hot and humid in the summer, but other than that, it's just a fantastic town. And then you go down to Savannah.
Reliably windy.
They have a sea breeze. It's not horribly windy. It's not like San Francisco where it really is breezy in the summer, but they have a good sea breeze. And your favorite town of Savannah, they can go down and visit that.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful. And go out to Hilton Head and play some tennis or golf on Hilton Head Island. See our friend Tommy Webster.
I was going to say visit Tommy Webster.
Correct or Crutonic? This is sad in a way, but it's also a bit funny, mostly sad. And I ask you, this was sent by one of our FOSI, is this correct or Crutonic that a kite surfer flew into the side of a Florida house? Is that true or is that Crutonic?
Well, the kite flew into it.
Obviously, this is not a Photoshop. That's obviously the kite did, but did the kite surfer as well fly into the side of a Florida house?
I don't know. It's on CNN. It's got to be true.
Well, sadly, it is true. A kite surfer who crashed into a beachfront home in Fort Lauderdale, Fort Lickerdale, as some people call it.
Oh, it's died.
On Wednesday, has died. This
Wow.
was a couple weeks ago. Fort Lauderdale Fire Rescue Battalion Chief Stephen Golan said the man, who was in his 50s, was transported to a hospital in critical condition but died from his injuries just after 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Golan said fire rescue crews were dispatched to the home around 10 a.m. after reports that a man, quote, had flown into the side of a residence. So it's, it's...
Are they so not agile so that the guy couldn't have...
I just think he's not very experienced. He could have let go.
Yeah.
But for whatever, he must have gotten too high and didn't want to let go and fall to the ground. I don't know. I don't know what happened. But this kiting, a lot, as others will tell you, we've had it happen here in San Francisco. We had a death where somebody got pulled off their kite. They were kiting up and down a beach over in the East Bay in a westerly, and they got lifted off their kiteboard into some concrete on shore and died. And we know that one of the top kiteboarders in Canada, up in the Toronto area, died, and there have been lots of other. But this sport, and I know Marcus will tell you otherwise. The sport sadly is dangerous. Now, I want to end this with some good news. That was via FOSI. James Bland sent that to us from our FOSI down in Texas. there is some good news out of all this, and we'll tell you that this past weekend here in windy San Francisco Bay, and we've been telling you this now for months, what Christopher Gillingham is saying, I would say true, happened to a kite surfer in the UK. Yeah, it's dangerous. But these
walking around
foil kites,
yeah.
What's the term of art now for these guys? Wing foils have become very popular, and they have taken over kiting here in San Francisco Bay, which was arguably one of the homes. I mean, Portugal and the south of Spain and so on, and a little bit down under. But we've had the regular kite foils, for a long time.
Kiting and foils.
Well, they're foiling kites.
Yeah.
But these are not. These are the wing foils.
Yeah.
And this was a regatta here off St. Francis Yacht Club. There's the Billingham buoy, the Bravo buoy, right off our so-called starting line room, just a couple hundred yards, if that, meters from the shore. And this was what was going on this past weekend. They raced a regatta, and even, you see who that is in the orange?
No.
Well, this is wing foiling at St. Francis Yacht Club. And even the kiters have moved to, especially the kiters have moved to these wing foils. And that is world kiting champ Johnny Heineken.
Johnny Heineken. I couldn't see his face, but
he's moved to it. And, this stuff, it's less expensive, it's safer. Everybody's doing it now instead of kiting, where they do literally sometimes get their wires crossed. And here's the results of that regatta. Look who's on top.
Oh, look at that.
So I guess, and not only is Johnny and Alex Luna was second, but Joey Pasquale, who's a South American who lives up here and is one of the top kiters in the world, it was third, and on down, those of you who know some of these names. So obviously the skills are transferable too, and it wouldn't surprise me to see more and more, as you saw down in New Zealand earlier this year, as we've seen other places, more and more people going to this wing foiling, as they call it.
And this is slalom.
This is slalom. This was a slalom series that was run on Saturday or Sunday. These photos, courtesy of our good mutual friend Julia Chris Ray here at St. Francis Yacht Club. What else do they say? Lots here. Monica Diaz is saying lots here. I assume she means kite foiling. It's sad that the kite foiling, or these wing foils rather, in Spain, it's sad that kite foiling is the event for the 2024 Olympics, Clark Chapin is saying. You think? I couldn't agree more, Clark. There's Christine Cooler is watching. Christine. Speaking of wings, on Sunday this weekend, the SailGP boats were sporting the new, it got light. And as you know, they've built a second wing for all these boats. Larry and Russell, this is a full-on aggressive program. And for light air, they have a very tall, 29-meter wing that they can stick on if they're expecting a light air day. It keeps the boats fully crewed and fully wicked up. And that's what they raced with what they raced, which they raced on Sunday. Any other comments? Okay. We'll carry on. Do we need a seventh inning stretch?
How close are we?
We're there. I'm going to stretch. I don't know.
All right.
Some people accused me of torturing you last week. I didn't mean to do that.
Well, I just couldn't get up.
But we couldn't. Yeah, we had your chair too far under the table. We're an hour and 30, almost 5 minutes into the show.
Oh.
Feels good to stretch?
It does.
Like we do here in the American baseball. I wonder if any other sports do that. Do we know of any other sports that do a seventh inning stretch?
We seldom ask anybody to sit 4 and 5 hours
that's
on a hard
baseball
bench.
is so bloody slow. But last night the San Francisco Giants clinched a playoff spot. So lots of parties here. Thank you to the Kansas City Symphony and Chorus under the direction of Michael Stern for that little ditty. That felt good, Julia. I feel much better already.
Yep.
The seventh inning stretch. That gets us to Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Just a couple slides here. And thank you for the stretch. Stingray says, yeah, it's good for us all to get up. And of course, you all are free to get up. Although I will say that while Richard Gladwell's talking on that one piece, I ran out to the front stoop and got a couple of Amazon packages that were delivered. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, it's good to have a break.
A good break. Speaking of breaks, unfortunately, there is no lifeguard in the gene pool. Isn't that clever?
Yes.
I thought that was good. One of you sent that to us. Thank you. Zoom meeting, audio only, with video. And I was thinking the biggest pain for doing this show is not putting the slides and the videos together, is not doing, this is fun. This is the fun part, turning the lights on. You know, we just, a couple of switches and we're on the air. It's hair and makeup. It's going in so that we look a little more like the cat on the right than the one on the left. Not like some bloody pirate. Thanks, Ted Ryman. I think Ted sent that too. Now, this one, I got some criticism for this when I ran it on Friday's show, and they said I got the quote wrong, and I didn't exactly. But if someone says you have if you have too many votes, stop talking to them. You don't need that kind of negativity in your life. And I quoted our late vice president, who was Richard Nixon's vice president, Spiro T. I have no idea what the T stood for. Spiro T. Agnew, who was, I think, from Maryland, wasn't he? Baltimore? I don't know. And he didn't say what I said. I had this close, but he said, referring to the media, he called the media nattering nabobs of negativism. Mm-hmm. I think I had negativity or
yes,
something.
You did.
But I wanted to correct that because I was called out on getting that quote wrong, so we corrected nattering nabobs of negativism, which maybe is what Grant Dalton and Russell Green are going to accuse me of being today. I don't mean to be negative. I hope this venue sorts out quickly. I'm sure the smart people working on it will sort it out, but it looks like it's turned into a fustercluck for the moment. I hope they sort it out, and I hope they find a way to do it in Auckland, one way or another. And I don't need to be a nattering nabob on that. Finally, Julia, the finish line. We have a nice video. We played it before, but since Congressional Cup starts tomorrow, I thought we'd play this promo. It's very brief for tomorrow's start of the Congressional Cup in Long Beach. And I'm cheering for the youngsters, for Jeffrey, for David Wood, and of course for Emilio Kiar.
Yeah, all three of them.
All three of them. We'll see if Taylor, but to be fair, they're going up against the varsity now. They're going to sail against Taylor Canfield and the rest of those guys that we told you about. Johnny Berenson from Sweden. Ian Williams, unfortunately, is not there. He's, I think, due to COVID, was unable to get there or unable to get back. So a multiple winner and multiple world champion in the World Match Racing Tour, Ian Williams of the UK, will not be there.
Did we know that before?
Yeah, I think Andrew Pindar told us that, maybe when we were talking to Andrew not too long ago, because Andrew's been sponsoring. You saw on that back of Ian Williams's team, the GAC Pindar logos. Yeah. And I think we knew that. Of course, we saw that he wasn't in the list. It felt so good to stretch out in bed while tied down and locked out. Peter Stevenson, Pedro Foiling Sailor. Gordon Smith, perhaps we should have a Jane Fonda section to SI, stretching and legging. She looks pretty good, Julia.
Well, she does.
How old is she?
She's
late 70s, isn't she?
Yeah, she's.
Or 80?
Yeah, I think she's my age.
Well, she's,
Close.
You look, she probably doesn't wear a red dress as well as you do. God, that's bright. I did turn, as I think I said at the top.
You had to turn it down.
I did turn down the.
Well, people have to get woken up.
Well,
I'd rather be woken rather than woke.
When you came out of the elevator today, you certainly woke me up. I needed that too. Okay, that pretty well does it for us. Julia, your witness.
Yes, you are hereby instructed to like, follow, and share.
Indeed, and comments, of course, are always welcome. We appreciate comments, even in replay, especially in replay. We get hundreds of comments, which most of these YouTube videos, and they don't get that many comments. Yeah. And we appreciate all your comments.
We get hundreds, and they're really fun to read, if I haven't reminded you recently.
We do. We go back and read them.
Yeah.
And what's, again, not to pat all of you on the back, but we'll do it. There are precious few Crutonic comments. There's no name calling to speak of. There's no foul language. There's no, it's just it's good
and
stuff.
what I love is that our FOSI are very knowledgeable, and so I learn lots from them every day. I mean, every program. Yeah.
Jane Fonda's older than you. She's 84.
Uh-oh.
Ted Ryman, thank you. Gordon Smith, thank you. Clark Chapin, everybody else, thank you very much. We hope to see you here on Friday. We'll do another one of these. We'll see if we have a venue decision by then, or maybe it's the most favored, the preferable. That reminds me of a joke. I've got a dirty joke maybe I can tell on Friday about preferable. You're focusing on comments.
Sorry.
That's okay. I won't tell the joke now because it's not correct, and I have to run it past you first. That way you may not approve. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Hope to see you on Friday. Hope you have a great rest of your week. And if you can, if you're not in lockdown, sail fast, sail safe, and have some fun. Ciao for now. Julia, thanks.
Thank you. Good day.
Yeah, good point. Kenny Glidewell's telling us that the Big Boat Series also starts this week. It starts on Thursday here at St. Francis Yacht Club, Thursday through Sunday. We'll report on that.
Yes.
On Friday.
We will.